Hello everyone and welcome to Punk Lotto Pod, the game where no one wins. I'm your co-host Justin Hensley.
I'm your other co-host Dylan Hensley.
And this is the show where we use a random number generator, plugging in the years 1976, the year of the first Ramones album, and 2018 to determine which albums we talk about.
It's the game that no one wins. It's the
Yeah, I said that already.
You did?
That's like after the first thing I say.
I missed the tag. Speaking of random and lotto, someone randomly texted me a screenshot of lottery numbers.
What?
I don't know this number, so I'm assuming it's a scam, but it's just like Powerball numbers.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
To send it to you, too. Like, of all people, to randomly get a lottery number. But nobody would know your number, really. That's a weird one.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's either just like a spam thing or like someone had the wrong number. I don't know.
Yeah. That is weird. So let's see. Last week's episode was the Punishment of Luxury episode, and we had recorded that one prior to going to Fest. So this is actually our first episode recording after Fest.
Yeah. We're very confused about where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess now that we've returned to our regular lives, Fest feels like a distant memory at this point.
It never happened.
Yeah, well, I got to experience some punk rock in person this week, though. My first post-Fest show I've been to. On election night, actually, I got to see Superchunk play in Durham, North Carolina. It was an I voted show where you could get in free if you showed a picture of yourself in front of your polling station. I didn't do that because I didn't take a picture of myself when I went, and then all those RSVPs had already been called for. So I just went ahead and bought tickets, and I actually brought our 15-year-old brother to the show, and it was his first punk show, his third live concert.
Wait,
overall.
What has he seen before?
Well, a few weeks ago he went and saw Skillet at Carowinds, which is, I guess, the rite of passage for all like Christian music kids, because you go and see a band at Carowinds, the amusement park.
He took a time machine back to the year 2000 and watched Skillet at Carowinds. Just.
Yeah, and like David Crowder Band, I think, was the other one.
That's even weirder. Those two don't go together.
He was like, he didn't expect it to. He said the first band was fine, but then the second band was way loud, and that was Skillet. And like his friend he was with, like, couldn't handle it and had like go back a few paces or something. So
Skillet is too loud for 15-year-olds.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that's because it's a giant. It's a Carowinds stage, so I'm assuming it's loud as hell, and it was outside.
Yeah,
those tend to be a little louder than your indoor shows. But I was remembering that his first show was actually to see All the Living, which is your old band.
My old death metal band that my entire family came to see. Grandparents, mom and dad, just everyone looking miserable in a community center in Hickory, North Carolina.
That definitely should not have been hosting a metal show.
It was just this big. I mean, it was like a 10-band, 15-band local music festival, but it was like primarily metal and metalcore bands, like local bands, and just
they had a little side room with like some like acoustic indie folk stuff played in too,
which our guitarist and former keyboardist, had a little folk duo side project thing that played that room as well.
Yeah.
And
we saw Joseph
Joey
Downs play
Downs.
there for the first time. Yeah. Yeah. Great local musician. His name is Joseph Downs. Look him up. I promise you will enjoy him. And,
yeah, great songwriter.
He's super local. Like, he does not play out anywhere.
Lately I've been holding on to memories that are almost gone. Dreams are dreams at all. Sometimes I wish I could turn it out. It's Halloween. Halloween. Things I said all day long turned out to be so wrong. Night time takes so long. Sometimes I wish I could.
But yeah, but our parents decided to bring our 6-year-old brother. I guess that's how old he was at the time.
Something like that, yeah.
He remembers it. He said he remembers being there for like inside the room for a couple minutes and then quickly having to move to like the hallway or something just because it was so loud in there.
It was a big concrete room.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was so awful.
So I thought that was funny. But yeah, so Superchunk was his first like punk show. And I think he really enjoyed it. He even liked the openers, which I was not a fan of, but I think he was just excited to see live music like that. And yeah, Superchunk were great. They kind of played a bunch of songs off of the new album because it was an election night and the album was inspired by the 2016 election.
Yeah.
So they played a bunch of songs off of it. But then they would, to flip it, to put everybody in a better mood, would play some of the more upbeat tunes from... they played a decent amount of Majesty Shredding songs, and they played all up and down the discography like they usually do. But this is funny. This is the third time I've seen Superchunk live, and almost every set is completely different from each other. Like there's a couple of hits that they make sure they play, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There were a lot of obvious songs that they did not play this time when I saw them.
Yeah.
Like, it was surprising.
I decided to not go see Lucero in Phoenix.
What are you, poser?
And I wish I just didn't want to go by myself, and it was late, and it was, well, not late, but late to me now.
It was 7:00. It was so late.
Just like I don't know, pretty soon after Fest, and I'm just like, I saw Ben Nichols play earlier this year, just like a few months ago, and he played most of those new songs that I would really want to hear, and I don't know, I just didn't feel. I've seen them play so many times, and they generally play the same set list, so it would have just been a couple new songs, and that would have been it, the difference, but.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that you already saw him this year, it's not like you were missing something crazy or some. They tour so constantly too.
Yeah,
that I feel like you'll have plenty of opportunities to see them.
Well, other than that, I've just been working and looking for musicians. I don't know.
Yeah,
can't find a drummer. If you listen to this podcast and you know of a drummer in the Phoenix area.
call this number now.
155 True Punks.
Yeah. Tell them about punk. All right, I guess we can dive into the show now. So, the year we wound up for this episode was 1995. Dead smack in the middle of the 90s. What was punk rock like in 1995? It's kind of weird era, wasn't it?
The charts for that time period, Cap'n Jazz, Burritos, Inspiration Point, Fork, Balloon Sports, Cards in the Spokes, Automatic Biographies, Kites, Kung Fu, Trophies, Banana Peels, We've Slipped on and Eggshells, We've Tippy-Toed Over is number 1. Yeah.
Hey, Fugazi Red Medicine's number 2.
Yeah. My least favorite Fugazi album.
Is it? I don't know that I have a least favorite. I haven't listened to some of the later ones as often, which that's not even really that late. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's mid-period, but it's definitely more on, the noisy experimental side of Fugazi.
Yeah. Before, the mellow later material, but post, the still heavy stuff.
Speaking of Fugazi, getting off topic again, did you see the news that there's a new Ian Mackay band? Ian, Amy Farina, and Joe Lally.
Yeah, I saw
have
that.
A new project.
Yeah,
they're playing this weekend or something, or they played this weekend or something like that.
I hope something comes of it, like a recording or an album or something, because that would be really good. I love the Evens.
I'm imagining that it sounds like the Evens with bass.
It's probably a combination of the Evens and Joe Lally's solo work.
Yeah,
which could be really good. I'm down. I mean, Ian Mackay, most every band he's ever been in, it's great. So
yeah,
even Egg Hunt and
those two Egg Hunt songs.
There's one off. Isn't there another one where they had two names for the same band? What is that one called? Scat. What? Oh, I gotta look this up.
Well, what was the band that he did with what's his name from Palehead? The guy from Ministry.
Yeah. Oh, the one I was thinking of was Skewbald and Grand Union. The band they couldn't agree. Whoever was in that band with them couldn't agree on a name, so they named it both Skewbald and Grand Union. It's with Eddie Janney and Jeff Nelson. Eddie Janney is what's his name's brother, and Jeff Nelson, wasn't he in
he was in Minor Threat. He was the drummer.
Yeah, he was in the Teen Idols too. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. But 1995.
Oh yeah, right.
We've got Swans album.
Yeah, fuck Swans.
Yeah. Hey, another sidetrack opportunity. Why has no one just outright condemned Swans?
Yeah, I don't get that.
What's the deal? Why does he get a pass?
Because he's in Swans.
Because they have that one album cover with the teeth on it that everybody thinks looks cool. Nobody listens to Swans.
No, hipster music review sites do. They love to talk about Swans and fucking Pitchfork and shit like that. And I don't know. They decided. I don't know. Was he accused of rape or just
yeah,
and because
assaulted
his
a woman
wife came out
in her sleep or something like that. Another musician, I can't remember her name, but
yeah, and because his wife came out and said no, it didn't happen, everybody took their side. I don't know what.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of not victim blaming, but people wanted to discredit the person who made the allegations against him because I think of she had some history with mental illness or something, and it's
yeah, because
that doesn't
mean
it didn't happen. You can't use that against someone just because you think Swans is an important band.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Moving on.
Weirdly, number 4 on this list is Portraits of Past.
Yeah.
Now, I like Portraits of Past, but number 4 of the punk albums that year? That's crazy.
Are
high.
Portraits
That's
of
definitely some...
Are Portraits of Past that Man, I didn't realize they were that early. For some reason, I thought they were more of like a 2000, like.
Well, that's the thing. That's when I think they got popular in 2000s. I think they reunited in 2000s and put out a new album. But I think it's because like everybody was like, this underlooked band was so good. Why didn't anyone?
Yeah,
you know?
I think that
they're one of those retroactive rating. That's
yeah.
They put out an EP in 2009. So yeah, it was definitely them
Number 5 on the list is more indicative, I think, of 1995.
Yeah. Rancid and Out Come the Wolves. Yeah, that's a pretty big album for 95. If you're going down to popularity, it's probably the most popular punk album of that year.
Let's see.
This list is weird.
It is super weird. Hum, You'd Prefer an Astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
Dear You, which we talked about last episode.
Why isn't that number 1?
Because that's the Sellout album.
Oh, yeah. Never mind that it might be the best overall album. If not best, it's number 2.
24-Hour Revenge Therapy is the best.
Yeah. It's definitely number 2, though. I think it's better than Bivouac and Unfun.
There's Scattered, Smothered, and Covered by Unsane on here. There's the self-titled Sunny Day Real Estate, which that's the turning point in emo, right? That's where emo became
boring
alternative rock.
Yeah, I think so. Sunny Day and Jimmy Eat World are kind of the ones responsible for taking the edge out of emo, which I still don't really get how that happened.
Yeah, I guess it was just musicians. They were, they listened to like Embrace and Rites of Spring and those in bands like that, and those were influences, but they wrote music that was a little more pop oriented and a little more rock oriented. I don't know. They just kind of carried over like some sensibilities, and that's where that kind of transition happened. I don't know.
I guess if you look at what the outright punk albums of that year would have been, like you got Rancid. Like I feel like a lot of
there's a Pennywise album.
I feel like that's what everybody really thought punk was in the 90s, and so it was different. Green Day, Insomniac.
There's also some pretty good hardcore stuff like Lifetime, Quicksand, Integrity, Dead Guy.
Mm-hmm. Slater Kinney. There's another Unwound album. Ugh.
Don't give it away.
Yeah, it's an interesting year. I think this is where punk finally started to branch off in like many different directions. Like
yeah,
because like if you look at all the stuff on this first page, it spans from post-hardcore to emo to post-punk to screamo to hum.
Yeah, yeah.
Noise rock. And
95 was also the year of the last Ramones album. Adios Amigos. Yeah. I forgot that it was that late into the 90s.
Yeah, it is.
There's also like some weird stuff. 2 Rocket from the Crypt albums, like Engine Takes to Water by June of 44. That came out like that year. It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Really all over the place.
Yeah, it really is.
Gosh, 108 Songs of Separation. Yeah, 95 was weird.
Well, let's start talking about our albums then, because we've spent a little bit of time just meandering.
You tipped the hat.
Part of why I'm not too worried about wasting time talking about other things is because I don't have a ton to say about today's album. That
AFI album where the album cover is like the Reservoir Dogs like poster. Answer that and stay fashionable. Yeah, so Unwound. What was what's the chart number and the album title?
So it's number 9 on the charts.
Too high.
Too high. And it's called The Future of What? And my cat just jumped on the table. Stop it. Jesus Christ. What? Yes, number 9, Unwound, The Future of What? 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 Do you hear what my watch says?
The worst thing to happen to wrestling. The crowd interaction.
Yeah.
Do they still do that like all the time?
Yes, they do. Not all the time. They primarily do it at people they really dislike. But depending on what town you're in, it's worse than others. So they love to do it to the McMahons, pretty much.
I mean,
which is understandable.
Yeah, I don't really want to see more McMahon drama bullshit in wrestling, because that was like the worst stuff. I mean,
speaking of the WWE,
other than Stone Cold's, aspects of it,
Stone Cold,
just because he's so good on a mic, but.
Oh, the McMahons and their Saudi Arabia shows.
Yeah.
It's okay. They brought Hulk Hogan back in Saudi Arabia. It's fine.
Good news, everyone. Hulkster's not racist anymore.
Yeah.
Skin of a hot dog.
All right. So, Unwound.
How much do we not want to talk about Unwound?
And you want to know something? This is the most I've ever enjoyed listening to Unwound.
When we drew this one, I was like, oh, like that's an Unwound record that like I think I like.
Yeah, comparatively.
And then we listened to it because I was like, yeah, I've listened to that album a couple times. Like I'm familiar with it. And then you and I listened to it in the car on the way down to Fest, and because I flew to South Carolina and then drove to Florida instead of just flying to Florida. But
well, then I would have to have driven to Florida by myself. So
yeah, and we listened to it, and I swear I forgot what we were listening to like 3 times. Listen on that album.
I've listened to this album maybe 5 times, and it always sounds different than what I remember it sounding like every time. And then I hear it, I'm like, I don't remember listening to this. But I have. I listened to it like 5 times.
Yeah, I really want to talk. I wish that we could talk to like an Unwound fan, because I want to know what the deal is. What is the appeal of Unwound? Please someone write to us and tell us what the appeal of Unwound is, because I know that I have listened to multiple Unwound records and nothing sticks. Like I have no memory of any of the songs. Like I know generally what they sound like.
Yeah, like I have an idea. Yeah, like I know what the sound is, but I cannot remember the songs. I don't remember how any of them go. I don't remember any of like the guitar parts.
I feel like they're a band that's more important and more influential for their non-songs, like for their noise and drone stuff.
You think?
Like I feel like the way they sound and like the experimental stuff that they did is why they're a band that people still talk about, not because of like their actual songwriting or riff writing. Because even for the vocals to be like shouted, they're really like subdued and blurry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's run down some basics on this album real quick, though. So, Future of What was released on April 24th, 1995 on Kill Rock Stars Records, who released albums by Bikini Kill, Slater Kinney, and Deerhoof, and Elliott Smith, and Decemberists, and kind of all over the place. So, and a majority of their albums came out on Kill Rock Stars, so I'm wondering if it was one of those, they were a right place, right time band, you know?
Yeah, when you started listing off all those other artists that were on the label, I'd like to know what Kill Rock Stars released in 95 specifically. Is this their first release on Kill Rock Stars?
No, it's like their third. I think the only thing that was not released on Kill Rock Stars was like their very first EP. I'm not entirely sure. Let me double check.
Either Or by Elliott Smith was in 97.
There was another one, Unwound album, that came out in 95. It's the self-titled. It came out on Honey Bear Records, but the rest were all Kill Rock Stars, except for the self-released cassette, which I'm wondering if that's what that is.
Let's see. Yeah, Bratmobile's Potty Mouth came out in 93.
So 95. Witchy Poo. Elliott Smith's Needle in the Hay single. Thrones?
Thrones? Like the...
Is that the same Thrones?
Like the ex-Melvin's bass player or whatever?
Yeah, Joe Preston.
Yeah.
Deerhoof. Bikini Kill.
Oh, sweet. They have their website, like, organized by year, like their discography.
Now, so, Unwound were a Washington band. Is Kill Rock Stars? No, they're a Portland label.
Yeah.
So that might explain why.
Huh.
They're kind of a local... They were a semi-local band for the label, so that explains why they were interested in them. I mean, when I went into this album, my mind always ties them to Fugazi because they're almost always as equally praised as Fugazi. Mm-hmm. They're always in the top 10. Both bands are always in the top 10 together on these charts. They play a similar sound to each other, and it just feels like an East Coast, West Coast difference. But once I started looking at the similar artists on Spotify for Unwound, then it really started to click with me what their sound was. So if you look at their similar artists, they compare them to like Shellac, and Bitch Magnet, and Slint, and Rodan, and basically that Midwest noise rock sound.
Bitch Magnet was Chapel Hill.
That's true. They were. But you know what I mean, like a Touch and Go Records, or what's the other one? Quarter Stick. Yeah. Like some of that Louisville.
Yeah, like Drive Like Jehu's on Shows Up and Paulvo.
Yeah. So when I think of those bands, Unwound sound makes more sense to me. It's a little noisier. It's
yeah,
chunkier sounding.
See, I still would rather listen to like Shipping News and I don't know, June of 44 is a little more dynamic. But
yeah, they're definitely a little more
Rodan.
Like Rodan, yeah. One of the opening bands I saw this week was Superchunk. The guitar player was wearing a Rodan t-shirt. It looked like it came from 1995 too.
Yeah, probably did.
The guy was pretty old too. That was a band. I texted you during it, and I said, this band looks like 3 generations of the same family tree. The guitarist looked to be about in his 50s. He had like a Mike Watt sort of look to him. The bass player looked to be a woman in her late 30s, maybe early 40s. And the singer and drummer both looked about 20 to 25. And the lead singer looked an awful lot like the bass player. And so I'm wondering if if this is a family band. I was like, this is weird. Because the lead singer kept doing like the Henry Rollins pose the whole time. He even had like the Henry Rollins like crew cut hairdo. And, yeah, very strange. It was like, oh, look, Mike Watt and his son Henry Rollins.
Yeah. Do you follow Mike Watt on Twitter?
I did. I don't know if I do anymore.
Like 95% of his tweets, I don't understand.
What he's talking about.
I'm like, I recognize, it's like the Simpsons joke. Like, I recognize the words, but I don't understand what that means at all. He's talking about like Australian, the way people talk. Like Mike Watt has such an idiosyncratic way of talking that's just like old punk, like old rock and roll guy, like Southern California surfer, but like working class. And I don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Half the time.
I don't know. I remember I probably unfollowed him specifically because I didn't know what he was talking about half the time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Unwound. They're
So the personnel on the album, because I like to name off, I like to give people credit where it's due. Justin Trosper on guitar, Sarah Lund on drums, which I didn't know there was a woman in the band.
Yeah.
And, on drums, nonetheless, too. That's kind of neat. Vern Ramsey on bass. I guess that's all of them. It's a trio. And the album was produced by Steve Fisk, who produced albums by The Screaming Trees, Soundgarden, and Nirvana. I mean, not the big Nirvana albums like Incesticide type stuff, you know, EPs and singles mainly, but
weird. Yeah. I really Unwound is like, you know what they remind me of? Not so much sonically, though a little bit. Sonic Youth.
Oh.
You just like...
Yeah. I don't get them either.
Like, I understand the experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't enjoy it.
Not really.
Right, like I don't dislike it when I'm hearing it. Like I'm not like annoyed by it or it's just like that's music.
Yeah.
There's just nothing for me to latch onto.
No, I can't. Oh, there is one thing that I latched onto and it drove me fucking crazy. So on Spotify, the album has the bonus tracks included from the extended edition. And fuck these bonus tracks, because they're not bonus tracks. They're fucking meandering bullshit is what they are. So, you know, there's a couple songs on the album that have these, like, intros on them. There's one that's...
If you say so. Like, I don't remember anything.
The only reason I remember this is because it's what the bonus tracks are. There's no songs as bonus tracks, as far as I can tell. There may be one. But one of the bonus tracks... So, I get the feeling is they just were like, let's just make a bunch of noise, and then we'll clip the best parts and make an intro to a song. Cool. That's what you do. You don't include all of the noise you made as a bonus track on the album. Which is what they did. There's one, it's just a bass that's just going... Just...
See, I think they did that live a lot. Like, I think as a live band, they did that a lot.
Well, they included that in the bonus track. And it's just like a 5-minute track of just a bass feeding back, essentially. And then the 5 other bonus tracks... No, not 5. Like 3 of the bonus tracks are the same thing. It's that on the song Pardon My French, it has that like 70s like organ-y sort of intro. It's definitely like a sample that they kind of cut together with it's like a 30-second intro on the song. Well, it's 13 minutes long at the end of the album. And I was listening to this album while working out, and I listened to all of the bonus tracks. So I listened to this dumb organ thing, this organ loop, essentially, for 13 fucking minutes, thinking there was going to be something at the end of it, and there was nothing at the end of it. And I was so fucking angry that I spent that entire time it made me so mad. It's like, you didn't even include a song on here. Ugh.
How do you feel about the the backwards song, the 14 minute outro on Zen Arcade, the reoccurring dreams? See,
I stop it when I get to that one. I didn't expect anything at the end of that one.
I usually let that one play. That's one of those, right? One of those like experimental outro, like goes on forever tracks that I'm like, I can live with.
Yeah,
because it works as like see, and I feel like this is not to get too much off topic on a tangent, but like I think that like the experimentation of Husker Du is also kind of an influence on Unwound. And I think that Husker Du is a great example of how to incorporate that kind of experimentation and like a hypnotic, like droning, repetitive outro to an album, particularly that album, Zen Arcade. Like I feel like the Reoccurring Dreams outro on that it's like a meditative like reflection on this massive double album, and like I don't know. It's kind of a very like emotionally draining album. Whereas with Unwound, there's nothing. What are these songs about? There's nothing emotionally investing. Like there's nothing.
You know, I didn't even care to look up the lyrics. You know, like that showed you how much I did not care about this album. Let's see if there's anything in there.
I don't think that Unwound is a band that anyone talks about for their lyrics.
Yeah, here's the opening track. New Energy. Where's your energy? There's no energy. Where's your energy? There's no energy. Desperate kicks. Faster still. What about the future of what it is? State your age. Set the stage. Start a fire for something new.
We didn't start the fire. Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's not about anything, really. Is that about being in a band? I think that's what it sounds like. Set the stage. Where's your energy? Like playing a live show? Ugh. Here's Demolished lyrics. It's such a sad thing, but not a bad thing, when something's haunting your sacred scene. What's the purpose of getting drunker when something's missing the second time? Well, okay, you start with a rhyme, and then you don't do a rhyme the next. Afraid to dismiss, we have to insist that broken windows aren't broken hearts. There's a party on the east side, can I get a ride? I don't know. It's just kind of like hardcore lyrics, you know?
Yeah. Kind of just like musing more than anything. Just like maybe having a theme or like an image and then just kind of like scratching something out from it and not really trying to craft a song lyrically. Almost just more like I need words to sing.
Yeah, I mean, like very many hardcore bands. Your voice is essentially just another instrument in the band.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not interesting to me.
No. Ugh.
And they're a band that's so widely praised, like just so critically adored. And
yeah. Their albums are as positively reviewed as Fugazi and Converge. Like any year there's an album by one of those, they're going to be in the top 10. And Unwound's another one. I don't get it. Like, how do these songs stick with you? Who is the person who's super into Unwound? Is it that strange phenomena of this is the heavy band that the indie people like? You know? That I'm trying to think of a good example of another one of those bands. Like Fucked Up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know punks like fucked up, but Funked Up.
A funk tribute to Fucked Up.
But I think indie people think they're better than what punks think they are, you know?
Yeah, it's something that's just enough outside of the the normal sounds of punk, like the normal scene, like they're maybe a little bit of an outsider, and they're just a little weird, and so they don't.
Yeah, like it's like why, music critics love 77 inspired punk bands now, but they don't give a shit about, fest bands or no idea type bands or dead work bands.
They don't. They like when someone moves to Brooklyn and starts a 77 style punk band. They don't like when punk bands from Florida have been doing the same thing, have been playing punk for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like they don't like they don't like the way punk sounds as it has progressed. They only like punk to sound like
throwbacks. They want them to sound like Wire.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being influenced by Wire. Wire's a great band.
Right.
But it's always going to be throwbacky. Like you're like, I'm doing a Wire thing. Like, like that's what you're saying. I like Wire and I want to sound like Wire. Not.
Yeah. Instead of just being influenced by
right.
Wire, you're trying to sound like Wire.
And that's the stuff that gets like, oh, the new
Preoccupations album is so fucking good. Yeah. Even though they were that band called Viet Cong that everybody was real angry at.
Yeah.
They changed their name. They're cool again. Or if they're British. For some reason, British bands are really popular critically here in the States. But it's like, what about fucking, Minneapolis punk or, I don't know, the Philly scene, which is huge in the punk scene, but not...
I don't know. A lot of the Philly stuff does get attention.
Yeah, now I feel like... I don't know.
Yeah, but there's just as many bands that are from, like, the Midwest or wherever that are just, like... that are popular with maybe, like, younger punks.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the bands that we saw at Fest this year, like, that were just like, whoa, you're really popular.
Yeah.
But they're not like on Pitchfork or anything.
No.
Like the stuff that's actually vital in keeping punk alive, and that's not what's getting reviewed by Brooklyn Vegan.
The Brooklyn Vegans hate you.
Yeah.
To quote Patty.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, Unwound very much strikes me as a band that, you pointing out the context of their record label definitely makes a lot more sense. Because I know that Unwound played, though, like, they played shows with, like, Frodis and, like...
Seaweed.
Yeah, like...
Which were another Washington band.
Hardcore bands and punk bands.
Mm-hmm.
They just...
I mean, I think they thought of themselves as a punk band.
They just garnered a lot of attention from, like, Slater-Kinney fans. Not that there's anything wrong with Slater-Kinney, just, like, it's a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Elliott Smith fans. What?
Yeah.
Why? Why is this
probably not as much overlap there?
Well, I think we've said all we can say about a band we don't like.
How would you rate this album?
If I could remember how it sounded, I wouldn't even say I don't like the band. I just don't remember them. A 2.75, maybe a 3.
You're trying to give it like this really generous rating. Where you're just like I know that it's not bad. Like, I know that it's just, I just don't get it.
Yeah. It's creative.
Yeah, I would give this rating, I would give this album like maybe like a 3.0. But like the text is like that the glitchy text meme. It's like a 3, but it's like all distorted and it's like 3? I guess.
Yeah. I feel like it's a 3 on technicality. I don't know. Not fun, but not bad. I don't know. Well, let's talk about our EP.
Yeah. Yep.
I may have even less to say about this, mainly because there's less information. So our EP is number 117, and it is Honeywell, and the EP is Electric Koolaid.
Yeah, Honeywell is a band that I'm not very familiar with. I know of them. I know they're that, like, Gravity Records, like, early Screamo sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're definitely what I guess they're a legendary Screamo band. They're like in the vein of Heroin, Mohinder, like the Gravity Records sound. Were they on Gravity themselves?
I would have assumed they were, just because I can't think of any other label putting out music like that in 95.
Yeah.
Electric Koolaid was released on Monotone Super Sounds.
Yeah, which was only formed to release Honeywell's live album and this EP. So I think it's the members of the label's record label.
Their 93 album Industry was released on Mollycoddle, which looks like only put out like this and maybe a few other things. Nuzzle, do you know them? They put out an EP in 94.
Nuzzle? Nope. Nope.
It is another Santa Cruz emo core band.
Yeah, they were Honeywell's from Corona.
Really? I wouldn't have expected them to be like that far inland. Corona is like Riverside County, like east of LA. I would have thought they were.
Yeah, if I had to guess,
more of
an Orange County band?
County, yeah, or like Santa Cruz or.
There is also a discography that is pretty famous. It's like got everything on it, and that came out. Why is that not listed here? I'm trying to find the label that released the Honeywell discography album. I found Ron Honeywell's discography. Ron Honeywell. Why can I not find what label put out the discography?
I don't know why it doesn't say on Rate Your Music.
It doesn't say on there, and it's not even listed on Discogs. Very weird. Huh.
I just read a review on the discography album page on Rate Your Music where someone says, the songs and general sound of this band hold up well, but the best thing about listening to this compilation is that you can practically hear the future members of Orchid and Jerome's Dream excitedly taking notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that. Isn't Honeywell the band where they told their lead singer to sing like a girl? Like, purposefully, he's like screamed like a... They told him to scream like a girl to do his vocals. Yeah. Yeah, I read that while doing it. Apparently, the vocal style happened because someone told the lead singer to try and scream like a dying girl, and thus Screamo was born. So that's cool. Cool roots there, Honeywell. Yeah, this EP came out after they'd broken up, I think, because one of the members of the band isn't on it, who's on like every other release. So it's lineup is Josh Lewis on vocals, Ryan Hildebrand on guitar, and Bobby Sell on drums and bass. And the original drummer, Ryan Elliott, didn't play on this EP. So it was one of those, this is just like a breakup 7-inch, essentially. It's just something to put out.
Yeah, it sounds very much like it was recorded like live all in one setting. Just like, it it sounds like they recorded a set, because there's a lot of the same like little ding 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 like guitar like fiddling in between all the songs.
There's 6 tracks on this thing. I don't even remember them. Some of them are only a minute and 6 seconds long, minute 22
Yeah,
seconds.
I started listening to it, and then I let it keep playing as I got up to go eat lunch. So just standing in the kitchen eating tabbouleh while Honeywell.
But the thing is, you know what it sounds like. You know exactly. Oh, it sounds like an Indian summer release. Or, album. Or,
Guyver 1.
It sounds like Angel Hair. I mean, they're the kind of band who release their albums in a paper bag with a stamp on the cover. Like, a plain cardboard sleeve with a screen print.
Yeah. The kind of 7-inch you still find in like dollar 7-inch bins and in like Static Age Records in Asheville or Aerozame before they got ruined.
You find next to your a Kodan Armada 7-inch or Ink and Dagger 7-inch or something. Not Ink and Dagger, Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ink and Dagger. That's the vampire screamo, the vampire hardcore band that what's his name? Eric Wareheim was in.
Yeah. Cloak Dagger. Mohinder, Swing Kids. Yeah. It's a cool sound, but it's not a sound that stands out.
Honeywell
like,
to me.
The songs...
What were you saying?
The songs don't stand out. Like, it just feels like one big noisy, screechy piece of music.
Honeywell, leans too far into the chaotic, screechy side of screamo that, like, they don't have the control that makes the chaotic sound better, Like, they don't have, like, the interesting riffs or, clearer vocals that you can get into a little easier. They're very much on the sonic extreme as far as screamo goes, and I guess that's why they weren't a band that I was into when I was more into this kind of stuff, because I probably heard it and was like, that's all right, but nothing really grabbed me, so I didn't dig deeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason why I'm not into Mohinder and Swing Kids and Heroin, really. I always drifted towards the later stuff with like the Sarah Kirsch bands and like your Transistor.
Well, yeah, your Page 99 and
your beefier sounding screamo bands. I don't even like Orchid as much. They're fine. I actually prefer most of the other Will Killingsworth bands besides
definitely
Orchid.
I definitely prefer most of his other bands. Like Ampere.
I
love Ampere
and Failure's better than Orchid. But Orchid's the name brand. I don't know.
Orchid's the one with the cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
Nice Orchid shirt.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
Well, what would you rate this one?
3.
I'd give it the same. I would give it a 3.0. I'd give it the same rating as Unwound. Has that happened? The same rating?
Yeah, this episode is just like the gray color palette of of punk. It's just like the white noise.
Yeah. I mean, art-wise, there's nothing really to say about either of these albums either. Like, the future of what is a black and white cover.
Yeah, with like a sort of like futuristic looking building on it.
Yeah, it's like a Russian artist's like stuff. The Honeywell is like it's like a 2-color. It's all yellow and white. But I do like that it's designed to look like a 50s record with like stereo.
I like the design of that Honeywell EP.
It's got a neat like 60s like hippie acid rock.
Well, I mean, they took the name from the electric Koolaid
test,
acid test, or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny.
Which kind of fits into them being from Corona. That's because they're almost in the desert.
Yeah.
No one cares about a stabbing in Corona. Have you ever seen Nightcrawler?
No. I need to. Shamefully, I have not seen Nightcrawler, but I have seen that director's other film, Israel. What was that movie called? Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Oh, that was...
That movie's not very good. That's the same director as Nightcrawler, and it's not a very good movie. It's definitely a performance movie. There's not much of a story there. If
you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy the ticket.
Looking at the ratings, because the Rate Your Music allows you, when you do a rating, to add like a little comment. Though I'm not entirely sure how you do that. But like just looking at the little one or two word comments, it says, "Not feeling this, dude," and "Not for me, thanks," and "Good but not essential," and here's my favorite: "A cat ignoring you, speaking to them." Solid, very good, 62% average, enjoyable, bad, good for fans. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's like a farewell. It's what it is. It's a farewell EP. It's the band saying, "Here's one more thing to go." I don't know why they bothered pressing it on their own label though. Nobody else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We sucked all the energy out of this episode.
Yeah. Well, do we want to move on and intro our next episode? And
yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be discussing next week. So, all right. So we realized we hadn't done an episode in the current decade yet. We've done 2 of every other decade. 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but nothing from the 2010s.
We cheated a little bit.
We plugged in 2000 and 2013 just to give us some variety in episodes, because I feel like the number we originally drew was going to be another 70s episode.
2000 to 2017. 18,
yeah. But I feel like, no, 2010 to 2017, 2018.
What did we do? What decade is this?
I didn't want another 70s album is what I just didn't want to do another 70s album. So we got the year 2013. And I drew number 759 on the albums lists and wound up with Save Ends, Warm Hearts, Cold Hands, which I knew who they were. You knew who they were. I don't know that our listeners are going to know who they are. But we'll talk about them next week. And you want to say what the EP was?
And I drew number 148 on the EP's list. Inter Shikari, Rat Race. So
yeah,
we're going to talk about some lesser known bands from this decade.
Yeah, I guess.
That could
be pretty Inter Shikari is probably the more well-known band.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, as always, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at punklautopod. Our website is punklautopod.simplecast.fm. We have an email you can send to us, which we've never received an email from any listeners, so why don't you guys say something to us? Our email is punklautopod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe. We still don't have any ratings, but our friend Corey said he rated our show and it just hasn't shown up, so I don't know. I don't know if something's not reporting accurately or not.
Then it must not be coming through, or I don't know what the deal is there, but
yeah.
Yes, please give us some feedback if you're liking the show. You know, what do you like about it? What could we improve? We'd love to know.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, I guess. You know, we know people are out there listening, so
yeah, we see the stats.
We know you're listening. Stop hiding.
We've had 300 something downloads across all the episodes, so that's not
nothing.
So,
and it's more than just you, me, and
our two friends.
Well, yeah. Did we win?
No.
Broke even.
But we didn't. We broke even. Like, we went in with 20. We went down.
We went down.
We went up. And then we pulled out before we lost anything else. So, metaphor. That's not how lotteries work.
No, we don't get it.
Listen, we're not gamblers.
It was just a good name for a random podcast. Just deal with it.
My original name for the show was Random Punk Generator.
Yeah.
I think Punk Pod's a little more
catchier.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of the show again.
Where we must say goodbye. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ugh. God.
You got something to say to me? You want to talk about the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I'd love to ask you about the...
What?
I'd love to ask you
What?
about...
You want to ask Stone Cold who's going to win the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, who's going
It's
to...
Stone Cold. I said Stone Cold. Stone Cold. What part of Stone Cold do you not understand? 29 pieces of trash. Over the top rope. That includes Triple H. Kurt Angle. The Undertaker. The bottom line is Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania, and that's the bottom line. Why? Because Stone Cold said so.